At exactly 2:14 a.m., the emergency dispatch received a strange call. The caller was a man. His voice didn't tremble, didn't sound worried, nor angry. Just a short message, delivered as if it had been rehearsed. If you arrive before 2:20, things might still be saved. There were no screams, no sounds of struggle or threat. Just a cold, calculated challenge in the middle of the night. And then he hung up. On the other end of the line, the operator froze for a few seconds. The officer on the night shift glanced at the clock. 6 minutes left. No one knew if this was a cruel prank or a warning before tragedy. But either way, there was no time to hesitate. The police rushed out immediately. The house was in the suburbs, quiet, remote, with no security cameras, no witnesses. A place perfect for dark things to unfold. Inside the vehicle, the officers spoke quickly. Are we dealing with a prankster or a psychopath who plans by the second? No one answered. All eyes stayed fixed on the road and the clock that ticked louder with every second. For 6 full minutes, they had no idea what was waiting behind that door. At 2:22 a.m., they kicked it open. No screams, no one ran. Just a man, sitting calmly in the middle of the living room, hands resting on his knees and wearing a strange, almost amused smile. He wore a white shirt, strangely clean, no blood, nothing out of place. A dim yellow desk lamp cast long shadows across the wall behind him. No movement, no question. Only eyes. Eyes that looked like they had been waiting for someone to be late. On the floor not far from him lay a body, growing cold with a pool of blood that hadn't yet dried. The man turned toward the officers and said, "You're late. 2 minutes late." And then he laughed. A soft laugh, yet it echoed unnaturally through the empty house. It wasn't the laugh of victory. It was the laugh of a man who had placed a bet and just watched everything unfold exactly as he predicted. After being handcuffed, the man didn't resist. He walked calmly, like someone leaving a chessboard, fully aware he'd already won. At the police station, he was taken into the interrogation room. His name, M.T., age 37. No criminal record, no documented mental illness, no known instability. On paper, a completely ordinary citizen. He remained silent for nearly 10 minutes before saying his first words. I was going to let it go. But then, I saw something more terrifying than death itself. The silence of the system and how easily people are forgotten. The investigator tapped his pen against the table. Did you know the victim? He nodded without hesitation. He used to be a friend. He once saved me, but he also made me disappear. He spoke as if reading from an old journal. 8 years ago, he was bullied so badly, he was temporarily institutionalized. The only person who defended him was that man, the one now lying dead. But then that man walked away, cut all contact, left him alone to face the fallout. I don't blame him. But I never forgot. Then he began writing. A shockingly precise timeline, minute by minute, step by step. The method, the tools, even the 2:14 a.m. call. I gave you a chance, 6 minutes. Well, all you had to do was get there early, and I would have stopped, but you were late, so I stopped waiting. The lead investigator leaned forward. So you intended to kill him from the start? He shook his head, smiled. I intended to let you decide. The investigator stared into his eyes. Then, the laugh when we arrested you. What was that? A bet, he said. I bet that even with a warning, you'd still arrive too late. He leaned back in the chair, eyes drifting up towards the ceiling like an actor at the end of a final scene. People always call me the victim, but today I'm just the one who was on time. The clock on the interrogation room wall struck 3 a.m. He closed his eyes. No remorse, no apology, only the silence of a mind that had been planning all along. After the interrogation, the investigative team began reconstructing the entire 8-minute timeline. From the call to the arrest, every second dissected, every move analyzed. 2:14, the emergency call is received. 2:15, police vehicle departs the station, 3.2 kilometers from the scene. 2:19, they approach the final turn. To 2:22, they kick open the door. The scene unfolds, the man's claim about the 6 critical minutes lined up. At first. But then a detail stopped the whole team cold. The victim died at 2:17, according to forensic analysis. If the man was telling the truth, I would have stopped if the police came early. Then by the time the victim was killed, police were still 2 minutes away. Which means, even if they had rushed faster, the victim was doomed regardless. He didn't wait. He acted first. One officer muttered, "He didn't wait to be stopped. He waited to watch no one be able to stop him." From that point, the case shifted from a smart confession to a psychological game of perception control. He didn't just want to kill. He wanted the police to believe they were almost heroes. He wanted them to feel late, to feel tricked by their own pace. "I didn't kill and run," he had said. "I stayed to see how you'd react when you realized you were close." That statement forced the team to revisit one overlooked piece of evidence: the small voice recorder found in the victim's jacket pocket. When they played the recording, the entire interrogation room fell silent. If anyone hears this, please, get here before 2:20. It wasn't his voice, it was the victim's. A young officer whispered, it wasn't him who called, it was the dying man, pleading for help. So then, why did the suspect claim he made the call? Why sit there and smile as if he had orchestrated everything? New questions emerged. Was this really his plan? Or had he stolen the victim's final attempt at salvation? Who wanted to leave a trace? Who wanted to control the guilt that others would feel? The next morning, he was transferred from holding to a central detention facility to await trial. As he stepped out of the transport vehicle, he smiled. Not a grin, not mockery, but a smile of someone who already knew how the story would end, and knew only he truly understood it. Photographers caught the moment. The image went viral. Headlines everywhere read, "He laughed when he was arrested because the police were 2 minutes late." In court, he didn't defend himself. He didn't deny anything. He showed no emotion. When asked about his motive, he simply said, "I didn't kill to kill. I killed so you would feel like you failed." That line wasn't seen as a confession. It was treated more like a psychological experiment, a reflection of the system's impotence. But the most haunting part of the case wasn't the crime itself. It was the voice recorder in the victim's jacket. The one thing he couldn't control. If anyone hears this, please get here before 2:20. He knows that's the final threshold. This detail suggested the victim might have known what was coming, but if he did, why didn't he run? Why didn't he fight back? A new theory emerged. Could it be the victim allowed it to happen? Could both of them, killer and victim, have made a silent agreement like a self-administered sentence? A criminal psychologist remarked, this wasn't just murder. This was deliberate transfer of guilt, designed to make someone else carry the weight, so he wouldn't have to. In the end, he was sentenced to life in prison. No appeal, no request for leniency. Almost as if that was the ending he had always wanted. The case was closed, but there was one thing no one ever spoke out loud. The police still kept a copy of that voice recording, and in the final few seconds, just before the recorder shuts off, a faint laugh echoes. No one could tell whose it was.